Erica felt a quiet excitement as she stepped through the tall glass doors of the City Arts Center. The late afternoon sun painted soft patterns on the polished floors. She had volunteered to help with a special exhibit called Stories of Courage, a collection of paintings made by veterans who had faced hard times and found hope through art. Erica was a graphic designer by trade, but she loved helping at events that brought people together. She had seen too many stories of pain. She wanted to see beauty where others saw only suffering. She moved slowly through the gallery, carrying a stack of pamphlets and a small box of name tags. Every painting told a story: a soldier's lost childhood, a medic's memories of brave friends, a pilot's sky full of both freedom and fear. Erica paused in front of one canvas, showing an orange and purple sunset over a calm lake. The brush strokes were bold and sure, but the colors looked almost shy, as if the painter had held back a little. She admired the way the light seemed to dance on the water. A soft voice spoke nearby. "It's peaceful, isn't it?" Erica turned and saw a man in a neat blue shirt and dark jeans. He used a wheelchair, but he moved with a kind of quiet strength. His eyes were warm and curious. He smiled as he gestured toward the painting. Erica smiled back and handed him an pamphlet. "Yes," she said. "It feels like a promise that every dark night will end with light." The man studied the pamphlet, then tucked it gently under his arm. "I made that one," he said. His tone was calm, as if he had known Erica would ask. She blinked in surprise. He laughed softly. "I'm sorry. I should have said hello first. I'm David." He offered his hand. Erica shook it, feeling the firm warmth of his grip. "I'm Erica," she replied. Her heart gave a tiny flip. She wondered how she had not seen who painted it. David's eyes lit up. He pointed to the canvas. "I wanted to capture how hope can look both bold and gentle. When I painted that, I was rebuilding my life after my accident. Art helped me find my voice again." Erica felt a rush of admiration. She had known the exhibit was by veterans, but she had not realized she would meet the artist himself. They began to talk about the painting. Erica asked about the colors, the choice of brush strokes. David spoke with care, weaving in memories of long days in the hospital, fear and frustration, and then of small victories. The first time he held a paintbrush again, the first time he laughed after weeks of pain. Erica listened closely. She could imagine the struggle behind every line on the canvas. As the gallery quieted down, Erica offered David a cup of coffee at the small refreshment table. They settled at a round table by a tall window. Sunlight warmed their faces and made the city skyline look like a row of distant chess pieces. Erica learned that David had been a school teacher before his motorcycle accident. He had loved teaching literature and finding magic in words. Shared a short story he had written on a scrap of paper about a bird that discovered its own song after hearing the silence that followed a storm. Erica was drawn to his gentle humor. He made funny voices. As he read parts of his story, she laughed freely, feeling more at ease than she had in weeks. In turn, she told him about her own life, how she had grown up in a small town, the long drive she took every weekend to visit her grandmother, and the moment she first fell in love with drawing. She told him about her last heartbreak, how she had closed herself off for months afterward. David listened without judgment, his expression always kind. They talked until the gallery lights dimmed. Volunteers were packing chairs and rolling up wires. Erica realized she had not checked her watch in an hour. She felt surprised at how time had flown. David asked if she would like to continue the conversation over dinner sometime. Erica felt a thrill run through her chest. She nodded, trying not to blush. "I would like that," she said. Before they left, David reached into his bag and pulled out a small gray sketchbook. He flipped to a blank page and handed it to Erica, along with a pencil. "Here," he said, "draw something from today, just for fun." Erica's hand trembled slightly as she sketched a simple outline of the sunset painting and the wheelchair. By the window. She added a tiny heart near the drawing. David smiled as he saw it. "It's perfect," he said. Erica walked back to her car under a sky that had turned soft blue with twilight. She thought of the way David's voice had sounded, rich and calm, like a favorite song she had just discovered. She felt hope stir in her chest, hope for new friendship, perhaps something more. She repeated to herself, he is a veteran. He paints stories of courage, and he laughed at my drawing. She closed her eyes for a moment, taking in the cool breeze. She whispered, I want to see him again. At home that evening, Erica placed the sketchbook on her desk. She opened it again and saw David's neat handwriting on the front page. To Erica, who sees the light in my shadows. She felt a warmth spread through her. She touched the words gently, as if they were fragile leaves. For the first time, in a long time, she felt ready to open her heart to let someone new in. The next morning, Erica woke early with a quiet smile. She brewed her coffee and sat by the window, thinking of the painting of David's story and of the way their hands had met. She realized she had spent the whole night replaying their conversation, savoring each moment like a treasure. She dressed carefully, choosing a comfortable dress and a small silver necklace that once belonged to her grandmother. At work, Erica found herself daydreaming about the art center. She wondered what it would be like to visit the exhibit again, to see David's face when he spoke about new paintings. She imagined the conversations they might have about books, about hopes and fears. She shook her head and laughed softly. She had to remind herself to focus on her job, but she felt a lightness she had not known in years. That evening, Erica sent a quick message to David. Thank you for yesterday. I really enjoyed our talk. Would you like to see a new exhibit this weekend? She hit send and felt her heart race. Within minutes, her phone buzzed with his reply. I'd love that. Saturday at 2? Erica grinned and typed, perfect. See you then. She hit send before she could change her mind. Erica folded her sketchbook and placed it in her bag. She stepped outside into the cool air, breathing deeply. She felt a sense of adventure, as if life had opened a new door for her. She did not know what would happen next, but she was eager to find out. She whispered to herself, this feels like the start of something special. And with that thought, she walked into the evening, ready for whatever came next. Erica woke early on Saturday with a flutter in her chest. She had slept unevenly, waking sometimes to think of the bright afternoon light in the gallery and David's gentle laugh. She brewed her coffee just the way she liked it, strong and warm, and sipped it by the window. Outside, the city was waking too. A mail truck rattled past. Birds chirped on telephone wires, and neighbors strolled by with their dogs. Erica smiled at the simple comfort of morning. She dressed carefully, choosing a soft blue blouse and jeans, wanting to feel both relaxed and a bit special. She tucked her hair behind her ears and touched the small silver necklace that once belonged to her grandmother. It felt like lucky charm. Before she left, she glanced at the sketchbook on her desk. Inside, her quick drawing of the sunset painting and David's wheelchair looked plain, but the little heart she had drawn made her feel warm. She closed the book and tucked it into her bag. At 2 o'clock, Erica arrived at the new exhibit, a showing of modern sculpture at a renovated warehouse space downtown. The old brick walls were painted white, and sunlight streamed through tall windows. Sculptures of metal and wood hummed with surprise angular shapes, soft curves, and unexpected textures. Erica stepped inside, her eyes bright with curiosity. She looked around for David. Over here, he called softly. He was already by a sculpture that looked like twisting ribbons of steel. He wore a light gray sweater and dark pants. Erica felt her heart skip when she saw him. He stood near his wheelchair, but he looked tall and proud, like a guide waiting to share something. She pushed his chair gently forward. They moved at an easy pace from piece to piece. David spoke about the way light hit each sculpture, how shadows danced on rough edges, and how the artist tried to capture motion in still form. Erica listened closely, leaning in when he described the sculptor's inspiration, a childhood memory of dancing leaves or the echo of wind across a barren field. Erica shared her own thoughts, pointing out the way a metal curve looked like a bird's wing frozen in flight. They laughed together when a friend of David's approached and told a joke about a sculpture that looked like a giant pretzel. After an hour, they sat at a cafe table in a sunny corner of the warehouse. Erica ordered 2 iced teas and a plate of pastries. They talked about simple things, their childhood dreams, their favorite songs, and the time David once tried to bake bread and accidentally let it rise until it spilled onto the counter. They both laughed, imagining a kitchen covered in dough. It felt natural, like talking to someone she had known for years, as they finished the last of their tea. Erica felt a gentle tug of doubt. She remembered the moments when some people had stared at David's wheelchair. She thought of the friends who had asked her tough questions. Can you handle the challenges? Will your life always be about helping him? Erica studied David's face, so open and kind. She wondered if she could be strong enough for both of them. David must have sensed her silence. He reached out and held her hand. What's on your mind? He asked softly. Erica felt her heart tighten. She took a deep breath. I'm just thinking, she said. Sometimes I worry about the future, about health, about care, about everything. She looked down at their hands, the rings on their fingers almost glowing in the afternoon light. David gave her hand a gentle squeeze. I understand, he said. I worry too, but I also believe in us. I believe that whatever comes, we'll find a way together. He paused, studying her eyes. You deserve all the joys of life, travel, career, friends, family, and so, do one, we can find balance. I'm not asking you to give up your dreams. I'm asking you to share them with me. Erica swallowed. She remembered the long nights she had spent alone after her last heartbreak. She remembered how she had closed herself off, afraid to let anyone in again. She met David's gaze and saw no pity, their only respect and hope. She felt tears prick her lashes. Thank you, she whispered. Make it feel possible. They finished their pastries in quiet comfort, holding hands and watching people move between sculptures. Then David suggested they visit the small garden courtyard outside. He wheeled himself through a glass door. Erica followed and found herself in a peaceful courtyard filled with potted plants, stone benches, and a gentle fountain. Birds dipped at the water's edge. Sunlight filtered through leafy branches, making dancing patterns on the stone tiles. They sat side by side on a bench. David closed his eyes for a moment, tipping his face toward the sun. I come here whenever I need calm, he said. After my accident, I felt like my world had narrowed to a hospital room. When I first sat in a garden again, I realized there was still beauty waiting for me. Erica nodded. She thought of her small apartment and the view of brick walls. She thought of her grandmother's garden back home, with its bright marigolds and soft lavender. She pictured herself here with David and the future morning coffee by the fountain, reading books together under the shade. She reached out too, brush a leaf with her finger, imagining how soft it might feel. David watched her. What do you see when you let your mind wander? He asked. Erica smiled. I see us growing old together, she said, supporting each other, building a life filled with art, music, and love. Even if it's not always easy, I want it more than anything. Turned to her and smiled, his dark eyes shining. Then let's make that our story, he said. They sat in silence, hands entwined, as a soft breeze rustled the leaves around them. Over the next few days, Erica and David spent more time together. They cooked meals in her kitchen pasta with fresh tomatoes, grilled chicken and vegetables, and sometimes burned a dish or two, laughing at their mistakes. They watched old movies curled up on the couch, with David using a laptop perched on his lap and Erica leaning against his shoulder. They read books side by side, pausing to share favorite passages. One evening, Erica read him a poem about two ships at sea, and David said it sounded like their own lives. It's difficult but moving toward one another, yet doubt sometimes crept in. Erica overheard her coworker asking if she worried about taking care of him forever. She heard her own voice questioning whether she could manage the cost of medical care or the challenge of travel. She felt guilty for even thinking such thoughts. She tried to push them away, reminding herself of David's kindness, his strength, and his unwavering optimism. But the concerns lingered, like shadows at the edge of her mind. One weekend, they joined David's family for a barbecue. In the suburbs, his mother, a gentlewoman with silver hair, greeted Erica warmly. She listened closely when Erica talked about her job and her love of art. She asked kind questions about Erica's life and made her feel welcomed. David's younger sister raced around the yard with her little daughter, and Erica played catch with them, laughing as the girl tumbled in the grass. Erica thought she had met acceptance. After the barbecue, David and Erica sat in his mother's living room. His mother offered them tea. "I'm proud of you both," she said softly. "Love doesn't come with a manual. We all have questions. But I see how you look at each other with respect and joy. It matters most." She placed a hand over Erica's. "If you ever need help, you have us. Your family now." Erica felt relief and gratitude. She squeezed Mrs. Patel's hand. "Thank you," she said, voice thick with emotion. She realized that doubts were natural, but they did not have to rule her heart. That night, Erica and David returned to her apartment. They sat on the balcony, sipping tea and looking at the city lights. The moon glowed over tall buildings. Crickets chirped softly. David leaned forward and kissed Erica's hand. "I love you," he said. "You've brought color back into my life." He paused. "You've helped me see that we can face anything together." Erica rested her head on his shoulder, closed her eyes and breathed in the cool night air. "I love you too," she replied. "I'm ready to share every moment, good and bad, with you." She felt the weight of her previous fears lift, leaving space only for hope and love. In the days that followed, Erica and David made small plans for the future. They talked about a road trip to visit national parks, packing art supplies so they could sketch the landscapes. They discussed a cooking class they both wanted to try, and maybe even a dance lesson so they could learn to move together. They made a list of books to read aloud to each other. Each plan felt like a promise they were writing in real time, and, though quiet doubts still whispered sometimes, Erica knew those doubts would fade under the warmth of their love. David's laughter and optimism cut through her fears like sunlight breaking through clouds. She realized that love was not about perfection, but about choosing each other. Even when life presented challenges, Erica looked at David, his face lit by the glow of the city. She felt certain of one thing. She belonged here with him, in this moment, sharing dreams and fears and hopes, and she knew their story was only just beginning. On a misty spring morning, Erica woke to the sound of birds calling outside her window. The sky was pale gray, and a soft breeze drifted through her open curtains. She smiled to herself as she remembered the plans for the day. David had said he wanted to show her something special, something he thought she would love. She dressed in a light green dress that matched the new leaves on the trees, then tied her hair back in a loose braid. Her heart felt full of hope, as if the whole world waited for them. When she reached the entrance to the city botanical gardens, she saw David waiting beside the gate. He wore a crisp white shirt and dark pants. His wheelchair was polished, and a single magnolia blossom lay on his lap. He smiled at Erica, and she felt her chest tighten with joy. She greeted him with a bright good morning, and he lifted the flower toward her. "Hold this until later," he said with a playful wink. They rolled along the winding paths, the air heavy with the scent of blooming flowers. Purple irises nodded beside blue forget-me-nots, and tall cherry trees offered soft pink clouds overhead. Erica leaned in to smell each bloom as they passed. While David described the history of the garden, how it began as a small collection and grew over decades into a living museum of plants from around the world, his voice sounded clear and calm like a steady river. After a gentle ride through the rose garden, David steered toward a secluded path lined with magnolia trees. The ground was carpeted in fallen petals that looked like pale pink snow. He stopped. Beneath a grand magnolia just opening its buds, morning light filtered through the branches, making the petals glow. Erica looked around in awe, her breath catching at the peaceful beauty. David turned to her, his eyes shining. He took a small velvet box from his pocket and opened it slowly. Inside lay a simple gold ring. Erica's hand flew to her mouth and her eyes filled with tears. He knelt beside his wheelchair, one knee touching the soft ground, and spoke from his heart. "Erica, you have brought color back into my life. You have shown me that love can grow stronger after loss. Will you marry me?" Erica's tears fell freely as she leaned forward. She saw the full warmth of his hope, the promise in his eyes. "Yes," She whispered, "Yes, of course I will." He slid the ring onto her finger, and she felt a brilliant rush of joy spread through her. He rose carefully and reached for her hand. They stayed there in quiet wonder, surrounded by petals and the soft hum of a waking garden. They spent the rest of the morning exploring, their fingers entwined. They laughed as they tried to count the white shapes in a patch of daffodils and paused to listen to a fountain's gentle sigh. Every moment felt like a gift. When their small tours ended, they left the gardens hand in hand, dreaming of the new chapter ahead. Soon after the proposal, Erica and David shared the news with family and friends. They chose a small celebration at the City Museum, where they had first met during the Veterans Art Show. They imagined bright paintings on the walls and warm laughter filling the halls. They pictured themselves dancing under soft lights and saying vows surrounded by the people they loved. But not everyone greeted the news with pure excitement. Erica's parents listened quietly as she called them at their home. She told them about the proposal, her voice trembling with happiness. Her mother paused, then said gently, "Erica, we're happy you found someone special, but we worry. Caring for a spouse with a disability can be hard." Her father added, "Will you be okay? We only want what's best for you." Erica felt her smile fade. She understood their concerns. She knew that life with David would have challenges, but she wished they could focus on their love instead of the obstacles. She promised them she would be fine and that David would have help when he needed it. She reminded them of Mrs. Patel's kind words at the barbecue, that they would be part of a supportive family. After she hung up, she sank onto her couch and let out a long sigh. That evening, she met David in her living room, the ring warm on her finger. He asked how her parents had reacted, and she told him honestly. He listened with a gentle nod. When she finished, he took her hand. "Their love for you is strong," he said. "They worry because they care. Over time, we'll show them that our love is stronger than any challenge." Erica felt comfort in his words. She leaned into him and let her head rest on his shoulder. "I know," she said softly. "I just wish they could see what I see in you." Gatia squeezed the top of her head and squeezed her hand. "They will," he promised. "One day at a time." Next, Erica told her closest friends. Some cheered and sent hugs through text messages. Others asked practical questions. "Do you know how to modify your home? Or have you thought about long-term care?" It meant well, but Erica felt overwhelmed by the focus on details. She tried to steer the conversation back to their love story and the simple joy of being together. With each talk, she grew more certain that her life with David would be an adventure worth every hurdle. When David shared the news with his own family, he found a different mix of reactions. His mother welcomed Erica with open arms, praising her kindness and strength. She spoke of helping with care, of walking beside them in every step. His sister was excited to plan a family dinner to celebrate, but he also sensed a quiet worry in his aunt's gaze, an unspoken question about how Erica would manage the unpredictability of his health. Sitting in his childhood home one afternoon, David held Erica's hand as his mother brought tea and cookies. "We're proud of you both," Mrs. Patel said warmly. "This family stands by you." Erica smiled and thanked her. She realized that David's family saw the depth of his love for her, and that gave her new courage. She imagined welcoming Erica's family into this circle of support, filling it with laughter and shared meals. As the wedding plans moved forward, Erica and David visited the City Museum to discuss details with the event coordinator. They chose a gallery filled with paintings of golden fields and gentle skies. The walls would be lined with string lights, and a small band would play soft jazz in the corner. They planned a simple buffet of fresh salads, roasted vegetables, and a small cake decorated with edible flowers. Every choice felt meaningful, reflection of their personalities and shared love of art. One afternoon, while walking home from the museum, Erica paused on a quiet street. She watched two children chase bubbles in a fountain and a couple holding hands beneath a street lamp. She turned to David, who wheeled beside her. "I want our wedding to be about the joy we feel," she said, "not about what might go wrong." David stopped and looked at her, his dark eyes earnest. "I want that too," he said. Let's promise to focus on love, on gratitude, on the friends and family who come to support us." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the magnolia blossom he had kept since that first morning, handed it to her. "Let this be a symbol of our promise to treasure each moment, no matter what." Erica took the blossom and placed it gently against her heart. She felt steady confidence blossom inside her. In that moment, she knew that their love story was stronger than any fear. She smiled at David. "We'll do it together," she said. "Every step." He nodded and kissed her hand. Over the next weeks, invitations were sent, outfits were chosen, and speeches were written. Erica's parents tentatively offered to lend their car for the wedding day, and her father asked to give a toast. Erica squeezed her mother's hand when she heard the news. Mrs. Patel arranged for accessibility ramps at the venue, and David's sister organized a dance rehearsal so they could glide smoothly across the floor. The two families began to merge, each offering love and small acts of care. On the eve of the wedding, Erica and David sat in her living room, surrounded by a few close friends. They held hands and did a small rehearsal of their vows. Their voices trembled with emotion as they spoke of trust, of laughter, of facing every sunrise and sunset together. When they finished, everyone cheered and hugged them. Erica felt her doubts melt away, replaced by a deep sense of belonging. That night, as Erica lay in bed, she touched the magnolia blossom on her nightstand. She thought of the journey so far, their first meeting, the laughter, the honest talks, the proposal beneath the magnolia tree. She felt ready for tomorrow. She whispered into the darkness, "I choose you, David. I choose us." And somewhere, in dreamland, she felt the soft echo of his promise. Together, always. The morning light slipped through the curtains as Erica woke with a fluttering heart. Today was the day. She lay still for a moment, listening to the soft hum of city life outside her window. She reached over and found the small magnolia blossom David had given her, tucked safely in a glass vase. Its petals were as fresh as her excitement. She showered quickly, choosing a simple white dress with lace along the sleeves, elegant and gentle, just like their love. As she brushed her hair, she repeated the words she'd written in her vows. "I promise to celebrate your victories and stand by you in every challenge." She smiled, feeling the truth of each phrase. Below, she fastened the gold ring David had given her, its warm glow against her skin. Meanwhile, at his house, David prepared in confident calm. His mother helped him button his crisp navy suit. She smoothed the lapel and adjusted his tie, her eyes bright with tears of joy. "You look so handsome," she said. David smiled and hugged her. He folded his vows and tucked them into his jacket pocket. Then he rolled out the door toward the museum's grand hall where their story had begun. Erica arrived at the museum. First, stepping into the gallery where their art journey started. The high ceilings arched overhead, and walls lined with golden-field paintings glowed in the soft afternoon light. At the center was a small arch of white flowers, and rows of chairs faced it on either side of a wide aisle. Gentle jazz music drifted through hidden speakers. Volunteers made last-minute checks, placing rose petals along the aisle and straightening programs on each chair. Erica's best friend Maya found her and squeezed her hand. "You look beautiful," Maya whispered, brushing away a loose strand of Erica's hair. Tears sparkled in Maya's eyes. "He's going to lose his breath when he sees you." Erica laughed softly and followed Maya to a quiet side room where the final preparations were made. A volunteer handed her a small bouquet of magnolia blossoms, entwined with white roses. Erica held it to her chest, feeling the comforting weight of each petal. Outside, David arrived. He paused at the entrance, inhaling deeply. His wheelchair was polished and flowing ribbons of ivory ribbon tied to the handles fluttered in a light breeze. He took the moment to breathe in the joy of the day, to steady his nerves. Then he rolled through the doors, guided by his father and brother. They passed the rows of guests, family, friends, co-workers, and the veterans from the art show. Each face lit up in welcome. At the back of the hall, Erica stood just behind the arch. Maya gave her one last nod, and the music shifted to a soft melody Erica and David had chosen together. Erica felt her breath catch as she lifted her gaze down the aisle. She saw David there, his eyes fixed on her, his suit framing the gratitude and love in his face. As she took her first step forward, she felt time slow, the moment expanding to hold each heartbeat. She walked steadily, each step guided by the hope she felt in her chest. David rose slightly in his chair, as if every fiber of his being leaned toward her. When she reached him, she knelt gently, lowering herself so their eyes met at the same level. He took her hand, and they both laughed softly at the thrill of near touch. The officiant spoke in a calm voice about love that transcends circumstance, about the promise to people make to stand side by side through every storm. Erica and David listened, their eyes never leaving one another. Then it was time for their vows. David spoke first. His voice wavered only at the start, then grew strong. Erica, from the moment I met you, you saw me, not my wheelchair, not my scars, but the man I am inside. You showed me strength I forgot I had. Today I promise to care for you with every beat of my heart. I promise laughter on our brightest days and steadfast love on our darkest. I promise to stand by you even when I cannot stand on my own. Are my joy, my partner, my home. He reached out, sliding a delicate gold band onto her finger. With this ring, I give you all that I am. Tears filled Erica's eyes as she took her turn. She steadied herself with a breath. David, you taught me that courage is quiet and kindness is brave. You showed me hope in the face of fear and laughter where there was pain. Today I promise to be your champion and your neighbor, your friend and your partner. I promise to celebrate every step you take, catch you whenever you fall. You have given me a love I never knew existed. With this ring, I join my life to yours. She placed his ring on his finger, feeling its comforting weight. They sealed their vows with a kiss, soft and full of promise. A cheer rose from the guests, warmth and applause filled the hall as they stood together beneath the arch. Maya handed Erica a tissue, and in that moment, Erica felt tears of joy and relief. They had made it here, heart to heart, hand in hand. At the reception, Crystal. Glasses clinked as guests toasted the newlyweds. Tables were set with small canvases and watercolor sets for guests to paint messages or simple images for the couple. Vibrant paintings of hearts, magnolias, and dancing figures covered each table. Laughter rose as friends shared stories of Erica and David's adventures, the time Erica accidentally set off a fire alarm cooking pasta. The evening David taught Erica to paint with her non-dominant hand. The first dance came next. Soft jazz swelled, and David's sister wheeled him onto the dance floor. Erica joined him. They moved together in slow circles, Erica guiding David's chair with gentle hands, their bodies close, as if dancing like any other couple. Round them, friends clapped, smiles shining. In that moment, neither of them felt confined by circumstance. They felt simply free, sharing joy in perfect harmony. Later, they cut the cake, 3 simple tiers decorated with sugar magnolias. David held a plate while Erica made the first cut. She handed him a small piece, and he fed it to her with a grin. She returned the favor, frosting on their cheeks and laughter between them. As the afternoon sun dipped toward evening, guests drifted outside onto the museum terrace. Lanterns glowed between columns, and a soft breeze whispered through the open arches. Erica and David stood together, leaning on the rail, watching the city lights flicker on one by one. Erica felt David's hand slip into hers. He pointed to a distant tower where a single light blinked. "That's where we'll live one day," he said, voice soft and certain. She turned to him, her heart full. "I can't wait," she replied. They slipped away from the crowd, winding through a side staircase that led to a small, private rooftop garden. Lanterns hung from wires above, and a few potted magnolia trees framed a stone bench. David wheeled her close and wrapped an arm around her shoulders. She rested her head against him, breathing in the scent of night-blooming jasmine. They spoke in whispers of the life that waited, the morning sipping coffee at this very bench, sketching the sunrise, the evenings reading by lamplight, the road, trips to mountains and deserts, each destination a chance to find new beauty together. They imagined quiet Sundays, cooking breakfast side by side, and big family dinners with laughter spilling into the night. Erica glanced at David and smiled. "I love you," she said simply. He kissed her hair. "I love you more," he replied. She laughed softly. "Impossible," she teased. As the sky darkened and stars appeared, they headed back inside. The soft music drifted through the halls, but their world felt still and complete. Their way to the honeymoon suite, each step echoing their promise to face every tomorrow together. Inside the suite, the curtains were drawn, and soft lamplight bathed the room in a warm glow. A single magnolia bloom rested on the pillow next to two folded towels arranged like swans. David moved to the center, helping Erica settle onto the edge of the bed. Their wedding night had arrived, full of wonder and the weight of everything they had promised. David watched her with a gentle smile. "May I?" he asked, indicating the flower. She nodded, and he tucked it into her hair behind her ear. He paused, looking at her as wife. She looked back, eyes shining with trust and excitement. They stood together, hands clasped, and took a moment to remember each step. Every small victory, every honest conversation, every shared laugh that had brought them here. Then, in the quiet hush of their new life, they closed the distance between them and held each other close, ready to begin the rest of their story. The bedroom was quiet, except for the soft hum of the air conditioner and the distant glow of city lights through the curtains. Erica sat on the edge of the bed, her white dress pooled around her like a soft cloud. She still wore her simple gold ring, its warm weight, a gentle reminder of the promises they had spoken just hours before. David stood by the window, looking out at the skyline with his back to her. She watched the curve of his shoulders and the neat line of his suit. Even in the dim light, he looked strong and calm. David turned and came to her side. He lifted the edge of her dress and reached to help her sit back. His hands moved with care, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face.
"Oh."
Erica felt her heart flutter at the touch. She lifted her hand to his cheek and stroked it, marveling at the roughness of his stubble. "I love you," she whispered. He closed his eyes and leaned into her hand. "I love you too," he replied, voice soft. He knelt beside the bed, placing his hand on the floor. Erica felt the familiar sight of his wheelchair beside him. She reached out to hold his hand, expecting the usual comfort of its sturdy frame. Instead, she felt the cold smoothness of the wooden floor under his palm. Her heart paused. "David," she said, voice trembling. He looked up at her, his dark eyes shining with a mix of joy and disbelief. He released her hand and stood, rising. Carefully but confidently, Erica blinked as he straightened fully, no wheelchair beneath him. He smiled, that gentle, hopeful smile she loved. "I did it," he said, bending to pick up his wheelchair and folding it neatly near the table. "I kept it ready, just in case. But tonight, I wanted you to see." He trailed off, searching for words. Erica rose slowly from the bed, her dress brushing the floor. She stepped toward him, her mouth dry. "David, you're standing," she breathed. He nodded and held out his arms. "I took my first steps when I left the reception hall," he said. "I practiced when no one was looking. Tonight, I asked the nurse to come by early and help me try one more time." He took a hesitant step forward, then another, his arms steady at his sides. Erica watched as he moved toward her, each footfall sure and bright. She reached out and wrapped her arms around him, relief and wonder filling her chest. He held her close, and she could feel his pulse beating strong and steady. "I wanted to share this moment with you," he whispered into her hair. "You believed in me. You made me brave enough to try." Erica rested her head against his chest and breathed in his cologne, a soft mix of cedarwood and fresh linen. She felt tears slip down her cheeks, but they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of joy and pride. She looked up at him, her eyes shining. "You're amazing," she said. "I'm so proud of you." He guided her to sit back down on the bed, and then he stood beside her, helping her shift so he could take her other hand.
"Out."
They sat side by side, fingers entwined, looking into each other's eyes. The room felt holy, like they had crossed a threshold into a new world. David spoke softly about the therapy he had endured for months, or lead mornings at the rehabilitation center. Hours of stretching and balance exercises, tiny victories that felt like miracles. He told her how each time he saw her notes of encouragement, her sketches of the sunset. The note always tucked into his bag that said, "Step by step we go together." He found strength to push a little harder. Erica listened, nodding. She thought of the nights she had sat beside his bed in the hospital, holding his hand as he fought pain and doubt. She remembered the time he first tried to stand using parallel bars, his face pale with fear, then lighting up with triumph. She had cheered him on, tears in her eyes. Now she felt both those memories and this new reality merge into something beautiful. The clock ticked quietly on the nightstand. Outside, the city breathed with life cars passing, distant music drifting through open windows. But inside there, room time seemed to hold its breath. David reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a photograph. He handed it to Erica. She saw an image of him in the hospital bed, muscles trembling, reaching for a walker. Next to him she stood, sketchbook in hand, drawing as he tried to stand. She had captioned it, "First try." Erica's eyes filled with tears. She kissed the photo before tucking it carefully into her gown pocket. "I kept it as a reminder of how far we've come," he said, "and how far we'll go." He paused, then added, "I want to make more memories like this with you, to walk with you literally through every step of our life together." His voice caught on the last words. Erica pulled him down beside her so they could sit face to face. She touched his cheek and then his hand. "I need nothing more than you by my side," she said. "Just standing here, looking at me. That's everything." She leaned in slowly and kissed him, a soft promise pressing between their lips. They settled into the pillows and began to talk quietly about the future. They dreamed aloud of a small house with handrails along the walls and wide doorways for his wheelchair when he chose to use it. They imagined a garden filled with magnolia trees and sunflowers, a place where they could paint together under the open sky. They talked about traveling to the beach where he would practice walking on the sand and she would hold his hand. They pictured teaching art classes for children with disabilities. Sharing their story and inspiring others, Erica yawned softly and snuggled closer. "I could fall asleep right here," she whispered. David brushed her hair back from her face. "And I'll be here when you wake up," he said. He stood and gathered his wheelchair, folding it and placing it beside the bed again. He sat back down and reached for her hand. "If you need me, I'll always be here." Erica closed her eyes, comforted by his words. She felt his hand warm. In hers, his presence steady, like a lighthouse in a storm. She drifted towards sleep, imagining their first morning as husband and wife, waking side by side, sharing coffee on the balcony, stepping together into a bright new day. Before she slipped, completely away, she whispered, "Thank you for this night." "Thank you." And she felt his gentle kiss on her forehead, a promise sealed in the quiet hush of their room, in the soft darkness. Their hearts beat one after the other, a steady song of love. They had faced doubt and fear, but together they had found strength. Now, as they lay side by side, one standing, one seated, they knew this was only the beginning of their story. And with that thought, they closed their eyes, ready to face every tomorrow hand in hand.